What a special place. Look at what a beautiful day that the Lord's blessed us with. We're so thankful. I'm going to be reading from Luke chapter 19, and this is what we read, everyone. And when he had thus spoken, he went before, ascending up to Jerusalem. And it came to pass, when he was come to nigh to Bethphage and to Bethany, at the mount called the Mount of Olives, this is where we are, he sent two of his disciples, saying, Go into the village over against you, in which at your entering you shall find a colt tied, whereon no man has ever sat. Loose him and bring him here. And if any man ask you, Why do you loose him? Thus you shall say unto him, Because the Lord hath need of him. And they that were sent went their way, and found even as he had said unto them. And as they were loosening the colt, the owners thereof said unto them, Why loose ye the colt? And they said, The Lord hath need of him. And they brought him to Jesus, and they cast their garments upon the colt, and they sat Jesus thereon. And as he went, they spread their clothes in the way. And when he was come nigh, even now unto the descent of the Mount of Olives, the whole multitude of the disciples began to rejoice and praise God with a loud voice for all the mighty works that they had seen, saying, Blessed be the King that cometh in the name of the Lord, peace in heaven and glory in the highest. And some of the Pharisees from among the multitude said unto him, Master, rebuke thy disciples. And he answered and said unto them, I tell you that if these should hold their peace, the stones would immediately cry out. And when he had come near, he beheld the city, and he wept over it, saying, If thou hadst known, even thou, at least in this thy day, the things which belong unto thy peace, but now they are hid from thine eyes. For the days shall come upon thee, that thine enemies shall cast a trench about thee, and compass thee around, and keep thee in on every side, and shall lay thee even with the ground, and thy children within thee, and they shall not leave in thee one stone upon another, because thou knewest not the time of thy visitation. We're going to see those stones later on here. But how were they to know the time of his triumphal entry, his visitation? You see, this goes back to Daniel chapter 9, verse 25. And this is what we read in Daniel chapter 9, verse 25. In Daniel chapter 9, before I read verse 25, the angel Gabriel told Daniel that 70 weeks, now these are weeks of years, it's a 7-year period. A week of year is a 7-year period, okay? So 70 weeks of years, the angel Gabriel told Daniel, were upon your people, Daniel, and upon the holy city. And then when we come to verse 25, we read, Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the command to restore and build Jerusalem unto Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. That's 69 weeks of years. I'll explain that in a moment again. The street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublesome times. There's a date there, a specific date that Daniel is told by the angel Gabriel. It's from the time to restore and rebuild Jerusalem. There were 2 decrees. See, remember, the Jewish people, when King Nebuchadnezzar came in, they were cast 350 miles to the east as he destroyed Jerusalem, as he destroyed the temple. They were cast 350 miles to the east. And so there's 2 dates. One was to restore and rebuild the temple. That's Ezra chapter 1, verse 2. That was the decree made by King Cyrus, the Persian king. But the other decree is found in Nehemiah chapter 2. And it's the command to restore and rebuild Jerusalem. And so if I go here to Nehemiah chapter 2, we see here that it was in the month of Nisan. It was in the 20th year reign of Artaxerxes. Now, the 20th year reign of Artaxerxes is Artaxerxes Longimanus. I went to the library one time, this is quite a few years ago, and I picked up the Columbia Encyclopedia, that's what they had there, 6th edition, 2001. I looked up Artaxerxes I, also called Longimanus, king of Persia, and his reign was 464 to 425 BC, and in his 20th year reign, it was 445 BC. They've determined that date in his 20th year reign, Nisan 1, was March 14th, 445 BC. Now, there's a starting point there. So 69 weeks of years. If you take 69, you times it by 7. How do we know a week a year is 7 years? You can go back to Genesis. Remember Jacob? He wanted Rachel, but instead Laban gave him Leah. Remember that? And then he had to work another week. It said to fulfill her week. That was another 7 years. So if you take 69 weeks of years, you times that by 7, you come up with 483 biblical years. How many days were in a biblical year? 360. Times that by 360, you come out with 173,880 days to the day. March 14th, 445 BC, 173,880 days brings you to 32 AD, the very day that Jesus rode in on that donkey. That is one of the most amazing prophecies that you'll find in the Bible. And yet, as Jesus came and wept over the city, why did he weep over it? Why did he weep over it? Matthew 23. Let me read that for you here. Matthew gives another account. He doesn't mention that Jesus wept over it, but here we read, O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, that killest the prophets and stonest them which are sent unto thee. How often, Jesus said, I would have gathered thy children together as a hen gathereth her chicks under her wings, and you would not. Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. We know what happened in 70 AD. And Jesus said, for I say unto you, you shall not see me henceforth again until you say, blessed is he that comes in the name of the Lord. How often he would have gathered his people together as a hen gathereth her chicks under her wings, but they would not. And so as we're going to make our way down that triumphal entry into the Garden of Gethsemane, just remember that, a very, very important date. Again, it tells us the Bible is about real people, real places, and real events. Have a blessed day, everyone.